Welcome in, everyone, to the Blue Demon Room podcast, where DePaul Athletics is so excited to bring you stories of its student athletes, coaches, and alumni. I'm your host, Casey Standahar, and I'm thrilled to introduce our next guest on the podcast, DePaul women's basketball coach, Jill Pizzotti. Coach, thank you for being here in the Blue Demon Room.
Thank you for inviting me. This is great.
Yes, so we are now recording this podcast a couple days after it's been announced that you're taking over as head coach for Doug Bruno. Where were you when you got the call from Dwayne Peavy that this was going to be happening?
I was at my house. I was at my condo, anxiously awaiting some type of phone call, and Dwayne called me, and I just kind of overcome with emotion a little bit, and just thrilled for the opportunity.
Who were the first people that you told?
Oh, my fiance.
Congratulations,
yes,
by the way.
Thank you. Coach Bruno was actually the first person I called once it became official. Mm-hmm. I wanted Doug to be the first person I called, so he was the first one I called once it became official. But my fiance, my parents, my sisters, and my nieces.
That's awesome. In the first meeting with your team, what was their reaction to the news that you were going to be officially the new women's basketball coach?
Yeah, I had a meeting scheduled, which we had, but they ended up coming to the office during the day, and just a lot of excitement, big hugs, and for our players, I think it's been difficult for them. They kind of all year had some uncertainty around it, and then the season ended, and there was still uncertainty. So I think they're excited. I think they're excited about now they know who their head coach is, and just being able to start to make progress and take a step forward.
Sure. And you spent most of the season as the interim head coach. So does it feel different now that it's like official?
It feels a little different. Like I said, the players had to deal with some uncertainty, certainly our staff all year. And throughout the year, we just had it kind of happened in different steps. We thought Coach might be back in a month, and then we thought he might be back for Big East play. So even our approaches to practice and how we were trying to get things done, it was kind of in preparation for his return, and now that it's official, it feels a little bit different, but it feels great just because there's clarity to the situation. We can get going in recruiting with clarity with our recruits. So it makes a big difference just in moving forward.
And you were Coach Bruno's pick for the position, right? So how did it feel knowing he had that faith in you?
It means the world to me. I've known Coach for a long time. I was, like many women in Chicago, I was a Doug Bruno camper, and Doug's always been a mentor to me. We coached against each other in Conference USA for 10 years. So then to join his staff and to learn from him and continue to learn from him on a daily basis, and then for him to publicly say that he was hoping I could get the job, it just means a ton to me. And I tell people, I can't even say enough about my gratitude to Doug, the respect I have, the admiration, the love I have for Coach Bruno. It's just immense.
So you were a camper, and then you coached against him, and then you coached with him, and now you're coaching for the team that he coached for so long, and you are the new coach. That full circle moment, did you ever imagine this would be your life?
I did not imagine it, but interestingly enough, one of my college roommates, she just hit me the other day on text and said, I distinctly remember when we sat in our dorm room and you said, when you're a college coach, you want to coach on Doug Bruno's staff at DePaul and be close to your family. So she reminded me of that, and it really is amazing and unbelievable. And I just feel really honored to try to work to carry on Coach Bruno's legacy and his vision for this program of national prominence. So I feel honored to get the baton handed to me and continue to work as he would work.
Obviously, the circumstances in which you were named the interim head coach were a little bit unfortunate with Coach Bruno's health. What was it like to kind of step up in that moment, knowing that things were going on behind the scenes too?
Yeah, there were. It was tough in some respect, and challenging days sometimes because the importance to compartmentalize was just huge. Because I have so much love for Doug, and I was worried for Doug and concerned for Doug, and just priority was for Doug to be healthy. So that was part of my feelings on a daily basis, and then just the importance of, hey, these players, we're here for these players, and we have to make this the very best experience that we can possibly make it for them. So the ability to be focused on our players and focused on what we needed to do to provide the very best experience. And then as those two huge components are going on, you have your staff, and everyone is processing everything differently. And I think the importance of being there for people and giving them of your time and letting people share their feelings and their emotions, and then getting people refocused on, hey, let's go. We've got to be here for these ladies. And we, I talked to the girls early in this and said, we're gonna make this a great season. You're gonna make it a great season. We're gonna be here for you. We're gonna lead you. And I just can't say enough really about what these players did in terms of working hard and persevering and having some success.
I love that. We know that you spent the previous 10 years as a head coach at St. Louis University, and then 20 years later, there was another sparked interest in wanting to lead the program at DePaul. I know you mentioned what your roommate said in college, but what kind of sparked that change for you?
So my interest to come work for DePaul was really about working for Doug Bruno. And the combination of working for Coach Bruno and coming back to Chicago, where my family is, were the two biggest factors for coming back. And, the opportunity, it wasn't like I was hunting head coaching jobs. I loved my job here. I loved working for Doug as his associate head coach. I loved being around my family. So that was all good, and then when this just happened, and then the feeling you have about leading a program and coaching the players and making decisions, that felt great, and then it was the vision of, possibly working to carry on Doug's tradition and legacy, and that just felt right. It just felt right, and it allowed me to be here at DePaul, which is really important to me, and continue to be near my family.
Felt like a natural fit.
Yes,
I love hearing
for
that.
sure.
You said that every week you can become a new player when you were referring to practice. Can you give us an example of how someone or a player might kind of transform each and every practice?
Well, yeah, this year, we had a very young team, and players are anxious to figure out their roles early or figure out just exactly what they're going to look like in a game. And what we knew when the season started was our non-conference schedule was extremely difficult. We ended up playing the 19th strongest non-conference schedule in the country. And as young as our team was, that was a large task at hand for our team. So I really was trying to have the ladies just focus on getting better on a daily basis, and that they actually could get better on a daily basis and see it week by week, and basically be able to get them to hang in on the tough schedule, because we knew it was going to be hard to win a lot of games in November.
Right.
But the importance of staying positive, the importance of continuing to work hard and get better was going to pay dividends when the Big East season rolled around. So, I can go through the lineup and talk individually how players just got better, and if it was a player who was having trouble playing off of 2 feet and just staying focused with it and doing a better job of that and not turning the ball over as much. Feeding the post was something we worked on a lot. And our players, they really did get better every week. And I think that they did a great job of hanging in there, and Big East rolled around. We opened up Big East play in the middle of December, got a big win against Butler, and I think they were like, okay, this is going to be good now.
Feel it,
Yeah, so it was exciting to see that.
Very cool. It's no question or secret that Jory Allen was a big focal point of your team last season. With a lot of youthful players on the team as well as Jory, how does it look for next season with returners, or how do you kind of envision this all working out?
Well, every year a team kind of takes a life of its own. So this year, the team needed Jory to be excellent on the basketball court with her ability to score, defend, and rebound. But really, this team needed her leadership. And she embraced that role, that responsibility. And what was amazing with Jory was she came in practice every day and worked hard. I mean, she was the hardest worker day in and day out, led with her work ethic, led with her vocals. She knew the culture of the program. She knew what we needed to get done basketball-wise. And she was amazing. So it's not like you go into next year saying, who are we going to recruit to replace Jory. You can't just replace Jory with one individual. So we're in the portal, and we're working to get some help inside, add another guard, and then the team will take its own shape a little bit. We will get a handful of players back from injury. We had a few who were injured that we're excited to have back and feel like we can get back to a little bit more up-tempo style of play. But we'll look to add some recruits out of the portal, and then that team will kind of have its own, put their own stamp on how they're going to play. But we certainly think we can play a little bit more up tempo and create some tempo defensively.
Sure, absolutely. What sort of excites you about the next chapter of DePaul women's basketball?
Oh gosh, right now there's so much to do. So I'm very excited on an hourly basis on everything that needs to get done, from hiring staff to getting in the portal, recruiting players. And then there's just so much, and there's certainly going to be a lot of things we do exactly the same as we've always done.
Sure.
And then this is just a great opportunity to evaluate everything we do and determine if there's a different way to do it, I think that's the exciting part, is just looking at everything and deciding, how you want to do things. But you're doing this off of an already built legacy of successful women's basketball. Sure. So that's really exciting.
The foundation is definitely there.
It is there, and we're going to definitely use it and build off of it.
Cool. What does a successful season to you look like?
Yeah, ultimately we want to compete for Big East championships and get back to the NCAA tournament play. I really believe right now in the Big East is a great opportunity to climb the ladder a little bit in the Big East. We finished 6th this past year, and I feel like right now is an opportunity to climb that ladder. To overcome Connecticut would be, that's pretty monumental. But right now, just climbing that ladder, getting in the top few schools, being in the conversation for NCAA tournament play, I think that's very doable, and that's what we're going to focus on. You
guys were talking before we even started recording about UConn and about what Gino has done there. What can you learn from him? And obviously you've learned a ton from Doug, but from what Gino Auriemma was able to do at UConn this season?
With Gino, I've watched him closely for a long time, and when I was the manager of women's college basketball at Nike, I had the opportunity to travel around. I was in a lot of Gino's practices, his games, had the opportunity to visit with him and pick his brain. And he's so talented. His ability to relate to people is unbelievable and impressive. And then his knowledge for the game, he's very good. And you see him working at putting a team together and challenging them at the right times and having them peak at the right times. And then his style that his teams play at is just beautiful, and they share the basketball, and they're moving, and they're very fundamental, but they're very talented. And gosh, it's a beautiful brand of basketball, and I would love to be able to play some of that beautiful basketball for sure.
Maybe knock him out in the tourney soon.
And he's just, I have so much respect for Gino. Like I said, his ability to coach these young ladies and just lead them and put them together is really impressive.
I want to pivot a little bit to when you were the manager of women's basketball at Nike from 2005 to 2010. Can you tell us some of the highlights of that role? Because it's all in the basketball realm, but it's not coaching, right?
Right. I mean, the job is an unbelievable job. So my job was to be the relationship piece between Nike and the women's basketball world, women's basketball college coaches. And I was the individual who had to deal with contracts and everything and deciding which schools were going to sponsor and how much product they received, that type of thing. But I was a relationship piece. So I was on the road 20 to 22 days a month and had the ability and opportunity to go into the top practices of the top women's basketball coaches across the country. So whether I was in Gino's practice or Andy Landers or Sherry Coles or Tara Vanderveers, I mean, all over the country, Vivian Stringer. And so I felt like it was a 5-year coaching clinic that I had, that I was blessed with, and I love it, and I love practice. So to watch those practices, to watch coaches work was great. And then to be at the top games, I mean, whatever big was going on in women's basketball, I was the person
cool.
representing Nike. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool,
Yeah, that's
you know,
huge.
and I can't, I mean, there's so many experiences. I did some things with USA Basketball and traveled overseas with USA Basketball. Eventually, I also became the manager of grassroots girls basketball. So creating those or forming, strengthening those contacts with the AAU coaches and helping put on the biggest events across the country for women's basketball was just, I mean, it's endless. I had so many great moments. I would tell you, most of my coaching friends were like, are you seriously going to get back into coaching when you have that job? But I mean, it was great. But you hear all the time, you know, coaching's in someone's blood, and I just missed it too much. So I was fortunate to get back in and then join Doug's staff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. It seemed like you loved that role so much, but then it probably gave you the itch to get back into coaching.
Yeah, you know, you're just sitting there on the sideline and you're watching these coaches coach, and I love watching these coaches coach, and you're just like, oh, you know, if I could do that, if I had that team, or if I was back on the court, you know, something you might do a little bit different, or just the energy you see, you watch successful people work, and it makes you want to be able to have that same opportunity. So, and you know, even when I was on the road, I would meet a lot of the men's coaches, and I say, hey, do you mind if I come by your practice? And it was a great learning opportunity for me.
When early in your career did you know, like, I'm going to be a basketball coach?
Well, very young. So when I was in high school, I said I was going to be a coach. The vision I had was I was going to be a math teacher and a basketball coach and a softball coach.
All right.
And then I went to Southeast Missouri State on a basketball scholarship and played. After my first year of experiencing college basketball, I said, oh, I got to coach in college. This is great. Like all day, every day, you do basketball. So at a very young age, I knew I wanted to coach and teach. And then after my first year of college, I said, I'm going to be a college coach.
You have been doing this a while in some capacity, right? Whether it's at Nike or coaching, and you've seen women's basketball go through this sort of renaissance, right? Like with college hoops and watching Caitlin Clark and then the WNBA. What does it make you feel like when you know, like, women's college basketball and just women's basketball in general is so back?
I mean, it just makes you feel great inside. It's. I think all of us who are involved in women's basketball, we chose to do it because we wanted to be involved in women's basketball. And part of our mission was always to bring attention to our sport. But we are involved because we want to work with these young women, and we love the game of basketball. So to see it receive the recognition, to see the momentum, the energy surrounding our sport, it just makes you feel great. And you know, there's a lot of my coaching friends and even a lot of my friends that are in the media who, you know, we talk about when we were doing this in the 90s and early 2000s and how, like, my media friends are like pioneers, you know, in the sport. And that's the same with the coaches. We got into it because we love the sport. We love to work with people. But to see it have this attention and have it be the place, have it to be the sport to support, it's just so gratifying, so gratifying.
Why, in your opinion, should students, fans, friends, family attend a game next season?
There's a lot of reasons you should come, Casey. We got to get you there for sure. It's multiple times. But our brand of basketball, I think the fact that we play a fast-paced tempo, the fact you're going to get excited when you get to know our players. We want our players out in the community. We want our players part of the student body so that their classmates can learn to get to know them and want to cheer for them. But we're going to work hard. I think this year our team showed that they never quit. That they play hard, that they share the basketball, that they really care about each other and want to do well for each other. So I think you're going to just love watching them compete. And then we're going to win games. So everyone likes a winner. So come on out and support. And then just another part of the game experience is DePaul and Taylor Stapleton do an outstanding job of presenting the game. And everything, the effort that they put into the game is just unbelievable, you know, to the introductions, to the videos, to in-game entertainment. It's a great day out for your family. Sure. And we love it. This year we broke attendance records. We increased our student attendance by 164%.
That's awesome.
We broke our single game record. We had over 8,300 people for our Connecticut game, overall attendance. So, there was some momentum gained this year, and we just want to continue that. But I think just watching our players compete hard and getting to know our players can give you great reasons to come out and watch.
Very cool. I want to get into recruiting a little bit. You're really no rookie to recruiting. On 7 different occasions, you've brought a top 50 class to DePaul. What to you is your biggest selling point for prospective student athletes to want to work with women's college basketball at DePaul?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of great reasons, and it all comes together. So our style of play is fun for players. We give them a lot of freedom. They get to score a lot of points. Sharing the basketball and being on a team that shares the ball is really important. I think the players right now, the opportunity to play, I think, is great. But then our academic institution, what we can share with them academically, earning a DePaul degree, what that means to them, the opportunity to network while they're actually going to school because we're in the city of Chicago, and then selling the city of Chicago is that's easy.
That's
right?
easy.
I mean, it's amazing to talk to players and have them be so surprised that we're less than a mile away from a beach, and everything there is to do in Chicago, anything they could possibly want to experience is right here in Chicago. And then our number one seller still is going to be the people. And I think DePaul University attracts a certain type of individual to work here and to just live the mission of our university. And I think the people end up really selling it. But there's a lot of great reasons.
You talk about the mission of DePaul and your mission as a coach. Obviously, Doug Bruno created a great culture for women's college hoops here. What is the team culture that you want to build and, leaving your legacy here?
Yeah, it's really the culture is going to be very similar. What Doug established here and the importance we put on our players understanding how we can help people, that certainly aligns with my vision and just how I was raised, and help people where you can help people. So that's going to always be important. Having good people is always going to be important. Caring about each other, that all of that is going to remain the same. And I think right now, I talked to the team. We mentioned the first players meeting. I did talk to them about just being player focused. The girls had their individual goals, and I think it's important that we address their individual goals, and everyone on staff has a real good understanding of their individual goals on the basketball court, academically, how they see themselves at age 25, at age 35, and really work with them to achieve those goals. So, there's going to be a lot of similarities, and then just that extra player-focused thought process as we go through it.
You spend a lot of time with these student athletes, and when you get a recruit that's committed to come to DePaul to play basketball, how do you sort of ease the mind and develop a relationship with the families of those recruits?
Well, you start that during the recruiting process, and I think it's really important that you get to know the parents before the process. And we like it when parents want to come on the visit, because we think those are important people for their daughter, and it's an interesting age and an interesting decision-making time for these players, because they want to be grown up. I really think it's the biggest decision that they've made in their life up to that point. But throughout their life, they've had their parents influence their decisions, in a good way, just point things out to them. And so we want to get to know the families during the process, and then when they're here, it's just important. Their families are important to them, so it's just important to ask them how their parents are doing, how their siblings are doing, who's coming to see you. Just get a good feel for what's going on with them and their families.
How does it feel for you as a coach when you get that commitment, when someone says, all right, I'm choosing DePaul to come play basketball here for you?
It's great. I mean, we usually try to let out a yell, in the office and share it right away. But, it's so competitive. It's just so competitive out there to land a player, to have them commit to you. And when you hear that, when they make that call to you and they're saying like, yeah, coach, I want to come. It's just so exciting, and you just share that excitement with them and make them feel as good as you can make them feel, and then immediately try to talk to their parents and tell them how excited we are to have their daughter join our program, and keep it exciting, and I'm not ever short on energy, so I want them to feel my energy and just carry that through.
You spent a lot of time giving back to the game through some of the Women's Basketball Coaches Association panels, things like that, mentorship programs. Can you tell us about your experience with that and why you feel like doing those things is so important?
Yeah, I feel like it's part of the responsibility we have to mentor young coaches and young women in the profession. And I always make myself available to just talk to younger coaches, and the WBCA does a great job of providing opportunities to set up programming that way. And I just think it's great. You get on the phone with 3 or 4 coaches and talk through what some of their challenges are in the week. And then my opportunity to serve on the Hall of Fame board was just a great opportunity from my time at Nike. The K-Yow Fund, being on the board of directors, that's like near and dear to my heart. When I was at Nike, I had the opportunity to meet Coach Yao, and she was an incredible woman, an incredibly successful coach. But what really stood out was her faith, and she has the most faith of any individual I've ever met. And she battled cancer 3 times, and it was her vision to create the K-Yao. She didn't even want to call it the K-Yao Cancer Fund, but we made her call it the K-Yao Cancer Fund. But she created that to raise money for research and to unite the coaches of women's basketball and to help the under-resourced. So it was an unbelievable mission. I thought it was a privilege to be on the board. And I think for all of us, and this is like aligns with the mission of DePaul University, if you have the opportunity to help people, you just help people. And I think we all find out when we put ourselves in position of community service or helping people, you usually walk away and you're like, I feel so much better than I probably even felt like I helped,
right.
And that's what's so great about helping people. It's just, it helps them, but it really does make you feel good about having the ability to do that.
That's awesome. Is it Coach K-Yow or is it someone else? Who inspires you to be a better coach and the best version of yourself?
Yeah, I have a lot of coaching mentors. But honestly, these players inspire me the most. I mean, Jory Allen inspired me.
She's so cool
all year.
She was on our podcast
too.
I
know, and I know she was. Her dictionary is a lot better than mine. I was a math major, but she was incredible, and that's who inspires me. I mean, these players inspire me to be great and to want to be great for them. And I was amazed at the outpouring of like the text messages and the emails I received last Thursday. I couldn't believe the number that I received. And so many from players I recruited that we didn't even get, but so many of my former players at Indiana, at St. Louis, here at DePaul. And I wanted them to know, you guys inspire me. It's players like themselves that really inspire me to be good. And that's who I do the work for. That's why I work hard is for them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, probably already know the answer. After 30 years in the industry, over 30 years, what is it that keeps you energized? Is it the players?
Without a doubt. And I know whether it sounds silly or not, but I am blessed to be coaching these college women and to have the opportunity to work, to have an impact in their lives and do it through basketball. And it's just unbelievable. And along with these players, I just always, my mom and dad just did an unbelievable job with my 2 sisters and myself. And I tell people, that's really the first place I learned about sacrifice and teamwork and dedication and commitment and working together and tough love. And it was really out of my home. So I just feel very fortunate to be in this position.
This job requires you to travel a lot, and you're in hotels, you're working long hours, you're leading your team, but also your staff. What are you doing behind the scenes to make sure that you can be a reliable leader?
Basketball wise?
Yeah, just in life in general.
I mean, we do work a lot of hours, but I try to, I don't think balance is a great word, but for me, when I'm not working DePaul basketball, and all those things are related to DePaul basketball, I just try to spend some time with my family.
Sure.
And I have 4 nieces. I just got my first grandnephew about 10 days ago. Look, my family grounds me, and trust me, they'll be quick to put me in line at any given moment.
That tough love.
And just make sure I'm thinking straight. But I just try to spend time with my family. Certainly, obviously, my fiance now. But it's just those relationships that are so important to me. I try to make sure I make those touches and spend time with them. That's really, really important to me.
How do you make sure that your players are maybe finding that balance or just that good relationship with social life, academics, their playing career, friends and family, all of it?
Well, we talk about it, you know, we work to make sure that they have time to do those things. We want them to have, you know, their basketball life, their academic life is very important. You know, Coach Bruno used to always call it, you know, having a life. We want that for them here at DePaul. And that's something we talk to them about when we're recruiting them, because I don't feel like it's that way everywhere you might go. So it's important that they do that. The city of Chicago offers a ton of opportunities to do things. And then you're just checking in with them to make sure that they're spending time outside of their dorm room and having some fun. You want them to have some fun. This is, you know, a lot of people consider your college years certainly some of the best years of your life. So you want to make sure that they're taking advantage of everything they have in front of them.
We all love Doug. He's such a character, right? He's just so full of life and energy. Is there a piece of advice or something he ever shared with you that you'll always remember and that you'll keep with you? I know you mentioned having a life and taking care of people, but is there one thing that you that sticks out to you?
I mean, Doug has taught me so much, and you know, the simple fact that you got to have players in this profession. That's probably your bottom line. Like you have to have players. But honestly, I could go on and on with about. So you know, Doug also just, you know, he always shared so much of his philosophy and you know, the way he wants to play the game and the way he wants to make it entertaining for fans and draw more people in. He's just taught me so much about the game, but then surrounding yourself with good people, making sure your players are good people. You know, there's a lot to share about Coach, and I, you know, certainly going to do everything I can to keep all those great things moving forward.
Well, we're really excited for what you do with this program. I have a couple fun questions I want to ask you, but that kind of sums up the basketball portion. You grew up in Illinois, and you spent much of your adult life in the city of Chicago. So what are some of your favorite spots that you've discovered or maybe that you would recommend to your players or friends visiting?
I mean, I love going to the beach if given the opportunity.
Me too.
And then, you know, what's a pretty unique experience is if you go to the dog beach. That's a unique experience. You know, Wrigley Field, I cannot tell you the number of times, because I live less than a mile and a half from Wrigley. So when I walk by there, I still can't believe I'm like, I can walk to Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
I was just such a Cubs fan growing up, and I still right now I go by Wrigley. I'm like, I can't believe I'm walking right next to Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
So that's always a highlight for me. And then, you know, restaurants, I don't get out as much as I probably should, but there's so many great places, you know, Italian
You can't
and
possibly
steak
see it
places.
all.
No. And you know, gosh, getting on the river, when you can get on the river, any of my friends who come into town, I'm like, you got to take the architecture boat tour. It's just amazing.
I just finally did it last summer for the first time. I know,
Even if you don't think
awesome.
you're into architecture, it's just like you get
so
on there and
cool.
it's amazing.
It is.
So, you know, I mean, all the athletic facilities you got to get to, but yeah, I mean, the city just has so much to offer. And,
It does.
And when you have an opportunity to see a great play or a musical, I mean, you got to get there. So lots to do, and I just love living in Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one of your favorite venues to play in that is not Wintrust?
You know, we talked about this year when we went around, and I said I still like Wintrust as much as anywhere. You know, I mean, when you go on, you know, when you go on campus at UConn, because of the environment, because of their student body, it makes it a fun place to place there in stores. For Big East
Right.
play, that's what I would say. Stores.
Wintrust is pretty cool.
It's
a great court.
It's a beautiful.
There's
It's
no
a beautiful
bad view.
facility. I mean,
Yeah.
it still feels brand new.
I agree.
And I, you know, my vision is to have our student section just like the students at UConn come on out and have an impact and have fun and paint your faces and have signs and all that.
Very cool. All right, last question for you, Coach. We want to know your pregame routine. What do you have to do before a game?
You know, I don't have a lot of that. I am not a superstitious person. I when I got into the profession, I told myself I was not going to be a superstitious person, worrying about
Squashed it
what
early.
I'm wearing, all that. So, you know, I just really take it easy. But after we get done with shoot around, I just make sure I have some time to just sit and think about the game and just kind of give my brain a little bit of a break, but think about what's going to happen. But yeah, I just need to be able to relax a little bit as much as I can.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on the job. First of all, we're very excited. And also on your engagement. Is the wedding going to be in the off season? I know it's tough to plan a wedding.
The wedding is in June, so it's coming quick.
Oh, yes.
It's coming quick, Casey.
That's so
yes.
exciting.
There's just, because I just have so much free time right now. Yeah, so it's all going to happen.
Summer
it's
wedding.
All going to happen, and it's going to be like everyone in my family's like, boy, 2025. I said, yeah, 2025 is going to be a big year here. Yes.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you again, Coach Pizzotti, for joining us in the Blue Demon Room. We're excited to see what you do this next season and beyond. We're just thrilled to have you. So thank you.
Thank you, Casey, and I expect you to see you at the home opener.
I will be there. I promise.
All right.
Mark my words. It's on film that I said I would come. All right, guys, that was another episode of the Blue Demon Room podcast. We'll see you next time.